everyone. Welcome to TalentEgg Talks with Rogers Communications. My name is Mary Barroll, and I'm president of TalentEgg. I'm so excited to have Emily, Veer, and Hannah with me today to share their experiences as co-op students at Rogers. Emily Maw was a former Rogers HR co-op student and has now joined the Rogers team full-time as a campus coordinator. Veer Arora is a capital planning coordinator co-op student. This is Veer's second co-op with Rogers. And Hannah Tario is a UI, UX design and research co-op at Rogers in her second year of biomedical engineering at the University of Waterloo. Before we jump into our questions, just a reminder to our viewers that Rogers is hiring for summer co-op opportunities right now. You can apply to the co-ops on talentegg.ca. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
I'm going to ask Emily to start us off in our discussion. Emily, can you tell us a bit about the kinds of co-op positions available at Rogers?
Yeah, for sure. So currently, all of our co-op positions for our summer term are all within our technology business unit. So lots of design co-ops, web design, mobile development. We also do have some opportunities, much like what Veer is doing right now with capital planning, and we've got some network planners, a lot of analytical roles. So we are open to business students as well as anyone kind of in the technology field. All of our opportunities, however, do have all of the requirements and kind of what the managers are looking for in terms of degrees in each of the job descriptions.
Well, terrific. Can any student apply for a co-op, or is it only limited to third and fourth year students?
No, any year can apply. So we like to encourage everyone from first year to fourth year. We have even seen master's students in the past, as some master's programs do require you to complete a co-op. So we are open to everything. We all understand that as a co-op, you don't have 5 years of experience, and that's okay. These are learning opportunities, and we want to grow and develop your skills. So any year is good.
Well, an important part of gaining experience as a student in a co-op is having the opportunity to work on real projects. I'd like to hear from all three of you about the kind of work that you do in your role as a co-op.
So as a capital planning coordinator intern, I'm kind of in charge, or I'm part of the team that kind of takes care of all technology-facing project submissions that come through Rogers. So whether that be new projects or projects that have been approved in the past but are just being reapproved now. So as a part of that, I kind of see a lot of the business. So that actually is a very empowering feeling to see, everything that such a big company such as Rogers, deals with on a day-to-day basis. And some of the work that I kind of get my hands dirty with is making sure that all the project submissions are vetted correctly and are ready to go for the higher approval meeting. It's a very process-driven job. So currently I'm really in charge of kind of streamlining all of our processes through some automation work and just helping people on my team go through the vetting process and make sure everything is hit. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I do.
Well, you get a really great insight that way. Emily, when you were in your co-op, what kind of projects did you work on?
What I was kind of most proud of going through when I was a co-op was I got to handle the full cycle recruitment for our co-op students who are now currently with us, so Hannah and Veer. I got to post the roles, recruit for the roles, interview, and then now that I'm with Rogers full-time, I get to see it through, which is really nice. I put a pretty big impact on the company in terms of getting the co-ops in, and it was super meaningful work.
Well, that is really a great experience. And Hannah, maybe you could tell us what your experience was.
Yeah, so I work as a part of the Rogers 5G Create Lab. So with the new rollout of kind of 5G internet technology, Rogers is looking at developing new solutions using kind of that technology to solve everyday problems. And it's a really new aspect of Rogers and a really new team. So it's just co-ops, it's our co-ops and then the manager. So I do kind of a lot of the design work at the lab that kind of then gets proposed to be something that Rogers will develop.
That's a fantastic way to get your start in your career. Emily, you started as a co-op student and you're now a campus coordinator. Maybe you could tell us how Rogers supported you in your career journey from student to a full-time professional.
I think the biggest support I had was my team. I feel like I can speak for most of Rogers when I say the leaders that we have are very, very good at emphasizing professional development and giving us the tools to get to where we want to go. So when I started, part of my co-op was that it was in my last semester, so I didn't have any more schooling in terms of in-class to do. I just had to complete my co-op, get my diploma. From the beginning, I told my manager, I told my team, and I made it very clear that this is what I wanted to do. How do I get there? And they did everything in their power to push me through and introduce me to areas of the business that they thought I would fit well in, etc. And here I am. So I wouldn't have got this position if it weren't for my team supporting me.
Well, that's a fantastic story. And Veer, this is your second co-op with Rogers. What made you want to come back?
So my first co-op 2 years ago almost was in the demand analytics department, where I was doing a lot more data analysis work and data science work. And kind of through that, I got a bit of an exposure to the higher level business that Rogers conducts. And I got quite interested in it. And, just being a part of an analytics team, I didn't really get to experience it hands-on or in a front row seat. So when I saw this position open, I was like, wow, this is a chance for me to actually go and experience what I wanted to experience when I did that first co-op. And so I applied, and I figured, getting this sort of an experience this early on in my career would be great, and especially at a company that welcomed me and made me feel like a part of the team like Rogers did. I thought this would be a great opportunity, and I took it.
That's a great story as well. Hannah, you're a biomed student, but you're currently in a UI UX design research role. How are you using your skills in a design capacity?
So my degree is labeled as biomedical engineering, but in reality, it's a systems design engineering degree with a focus on applying our skills to solve problems that could have a medical aspect. So systems design engineering is a really unique degree. It's super multidisciplinary. So we study all different areas of engineering, from mechanical, software, electrical, we do all that. But the difference is that we do it with a user-centered design process, or like looking at the project from a user perspective. So in a way, my degree is really tailored to the current position that I'm in, although you wouldn't necessarily know that from kind of the title. And so I've really had to find ways to tell employers what my degree actually is on my resume, and that kind of brings me into this area that I'm really passionate about.
Well, clearly you did a great job because you landed the position at Rogers. This past year has been quite different because of the pandemic. How was your online onboarding experience with Rogers, and what supports did Rogers provide to help you connect with a virtual team?
So yeah, like you said, this year's been a bit of a whirlwind with the pandemic and everything, but Rogers made it very easy to kind of connect with everyone head on and get right into the process. So initially, I didn't find the role online. I actually reached out to someone I knew at Rogers, and they connected me with the campus coordination team. And through there, I got access to all the roles, and I was able to apply there. And it was amazing, just very timely responses to any questions I had. They were very welcoming of any questions that I had throughout the process. They understood. They kept me updated at every step of the process. And I think in less than a month of me applying, I had this position ready to go. On top of that, they kept a very direct line of communication open with us, even after we had gotten the position, letting us know, when our equipment would be coming through, when the position would be starting, and, to the actual onboarding itself. Did a good job of helping us get to know one another. They are doing coffee chats. I don't know if Emily's already mentioned that, but we're doing coffee chats every week to get to know the other co-ops. And all in all, I think this is a great experience. I'm getting to know all my fellow peers, and I'm getting to know my place in Rogers as well. And it's all thanks to the co-op team.
I think it was really lovely. And in the role that I'm in the innovation lab, we kind of work under two different companies. So we have Rogers, and then we also have a company called Commutech. And it was really lovely during this kind of period to have orientation virtually, because we could meet with everybody from both offices. We can meet with people from Rogers who live, in the Maritimes. And so it was a great kind of connection opportunity, despite everything that's going on in the world. Normally it would just be the people who are at our specific area, in Waterloo or on the campus. And so, yeah, we really got to kind of extend our branches and meet a whole lot of people who we would have never gotten to meet. And I think that's one highlight that comes out of kind of this time in terms of orientation.
Yeah, that really looks at the silver lining for sure. And I've heard that before, that your reach extends across the country often to other co-op students and colleagues. So that's an excellent experience. Emily, what a challenge it must have been for your team, but what an achievement. What are you most proud of with the virtual onboarding you did?
What I'm most proud of is we were able to extend, kind of like what Hannah said, we were able to extend a co-op program where the roles typically are Ontario based. That's where our head office is. That tends to be where we have the bulk of our roles. We were able to extend those branches. We've got 2 co-ops in Montreal. We've got a few students from UBC. We have someone from the University of Alberta. So we're able to extend that reach and give students opportunities outside of Ontario. So that's something I'm really proud of. And then along with what Veer said with connecting our co-ops, if they weren't virtual, it would be a lot harder for them to network with each other. They're not in the same offices. It's just not necessarily the same. So we're connecting them virtually, getting those networkings going within different areas of the business too. I know for myself, I wouldn't have met a lot of the people that I've met throughout my time with Rogers if it weren't for being virtual. It just wouldn't happen. I'm very proud of our small but mighty team for making this onboarding successful.
Terrific. Well, finally, what kind of mentorship, growth, and networking opportunities can you gain from a co-op at Rogers? Emily, I think you're the right person to answer this question.
Yeah, of course. So we are very big on networking, very big on mentorship. So part of the co-op's journey, we like to say, is we connect them with each other. So we schedule weekly coffee chats where they connect over MS Teams or whatever it is. And we try to encourage them to talk about things that aren't necessarily work related and just build a connection. We want them to be able to look at the people on their team, apply for a full-time position, and they've already made those connections. They've already made those friendships, those working relationships, whatever it is. And then closer to the end of their time with Rogers, we also do a session with some of our new grads. So we post our new grad roles through TalentEgg. So I'm sure everyone will see those coming in the fall. We connect them with new grads who are currently in the program so that they can get an understanding of what that's like, if that's something they'd be interested in. And then throughout their teams, we encourage their managers to continue having fluid relationships with everybody on the team. And if I'm Hannah's manager and I feel like she's doing really well in this area, I'm going to find the connections in that area for her and kind of connect those dots and put those puzzle pieces together to have her have a successful career in her future.
Well, thanks so much for all 3 of you sharing your incredible experiences with Rogers. There are many opportunities for students at Rogers to grow their career, and it was inspiring to hear your stories. Do you have any final words of advice to students? Hannah, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think just building off of kind of some of my earlier, or one of my earlier questions, if students have a degree and their degree doesn't necessarily represent the skills that they're capable of, I'd really recommend that they highlight kind of the things that they'd like to do on their resume. So again, my degree is biomedical engineering. Doesn't really say necessarily how I can help in a UI UX perspective. So underneath that, I tend to put, Department of Systems Design Engineering. That pulls in the people who really have technical knowledge and might know exactly what that means. But again, you might have hiring managers who say, I need someone who knows users, but they don't necessarily know all the titles that falls under. So I highlight, I do UI UX design, I do user interviews, I know the user-centered design process, and that's going to really pull in the hiring managers who know what they want the person to do, but don't necessarily know what what that person might be called. So if you have skills like that and your degree doesn't necessarily represent it, try to highlight those things on your resume, because it's going to pull in more interviews and possibly get you a spot at Rogers, just like it got me.
Well, Hannah, that's fantastic advice, because that's what we tell students all the time, that they have to customize their application, but also highlight their skills in a way that's demonstrable. So excellent job. And Veer, maybe we could hear any final advice that you might have?
Yeah, just to kind of build off what Hannah said, on top of, customizing your resume and really highlighting your skills, try to think what else your degree can bring you. I'm in industrial engineering, and you think engineering and capital planning, they may not go together, but really a lot of the skills that I learned in class are very heavily transferable to what I'm doing right now, especially in a job so process oriented. So my only advice would be, when you're looking to a further career, really think about what it is you're learning in class, because you might realize you have some doors open to that you never even knew about. So that's it. Just keep your options open and keep thinking.
And finally, Emily, any final thoughts?
I just encourage students, like both Hannah and Veer said, showcase you on your resume. It doesn't have to be, this is where I went to school, this is where I had a job. Put your skills and talents. You might have a skill that you've developed that doesn't showcase through, like Hannah said, your actual degree title. So for myself, I have a degree in kinesiology, and then I did a post-grad in human resources. So I brought that health and wellness aspect of my kinesiology degree into my HR with me, and that opened up a lot of doors once I got to Rogers. So kind of showing your diversity, being proud of the skills you have, and then in terms of interviews, I would say shake off the nerves. You're a student. We know you're students. We know that you may be interested in getting experience somewhere and don't necessarily have it right now. That's okay. These hiring managers, the recruiters, they know that you're co-ops. They know that you're growing your skills. So shake off the nerves. You've got this.
Well, that's all wonderful advice from all three of you. Thank you again, Emily, Veer, and Hannah, for sharing your stories and all of your excellent advice. And a reminder to our audience, you can find current co-op opportunities with Rogers on TalentEgg.ca. The deadline for applications is March 9th. This video will be available on TalentEgg's YouTube channel and on our social media, so don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more TalentEgg Talks. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.